welcome to the 2019 Agricultural Careers Expo. We've been running this event for a few years now, and the reason we do it online and we record it is so that all of the schools across Australia and the careers advisors and the people who are helping students make decisions about their future can log on without having to travel anywhere. We can record the session, you can break it up and show it to your students later on. So we hope you really enjoy what we've prepared for you today. And we are really fortunate that we've got schools from all over Australia logging in today to join us. We here at RuralBiz Training really believe the future of agriculture is wonderful and diverse and full of opportunities and challenges. And I think that it's important that students get to know some of the great opportunities that are out there and also have a good understanding of the rewards that are available for them. We hope you enjoy the speakers you'll hear from today. Unfortunately, elders couldn't make it today at short notice, so we're very sorry about that. They've presented with us for many years, but that's unfortunately today they couldn't attend. Our first speaker today is Courtney Cheers. She is from Holmes Sackett, and I will, Courtney, are you there? Can you hear us? Just unmute your mic.
Yes,
Hi, Courtney,
Melanie.
how are you going?
Good,
So, Courtney, I'm just loading your presentation for you now. Do you just want to tell us a little bit about Holmes Sackett and what you do?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My name is Courtney Cheers, and I'm a junior consultant with Holmes Sackett. We're based in Wagga Wagga. So our main sort of business is benchmarking farms across Australia. Most of our data comes from the southern states of Australia. We also do sort of general farm business consultancy work. So the data that I'm presenting today has come from roughly 180 businesses, as I said, across the southern states of Australia. A lot of the farms are sort of grazing and mixed farm enterprises. And so when we benchmark the farm's performance, we also ask that they fill out a farm salary survey so that we can get an idea of what they're paying their employees, and that way our clients can get an understanding of what they should be targeting in terms of their salaries to attract people into the industry and keep good people by rewarding them properly. So I'll just kick it off with some data. So I've just put the farm salary data from the AACo database with their average weekly earnings, and sorry, the graph is not quite the same as it was supposed to be, but the yellow bars, that's our data. So you can see we've got data for our managers, assistant managers, overseers, senior station hands, and gillaroos and jackaroos, and we've put that against other sort of common industries with their average weekly earnings. And as you can see, managers are still quite well paid, in only second to mining industry. And so this graph was put together just to show you that positions in agriculture can be quite competitive with other industries. And I just thought I would go through what are the typical positions that you might be able to gain in the farming sector. And so we have sort of two sections with managerial roles and operational roles. To start with, we have the managerial roles where a manager might manage the farm business capital plan, strategic direction of the business. They'll manage the employees and the decision-making processes. And so I think the thing to remember is that positions in agriculture, particularly in farming, are quite flexible. And so we have some typical job descriptions for these positions, but it's not to say that you know, this is the only descriptions that people would have. Sort of just depends on the dynamic of the farm, how big it is, and sort of how it's structured. So farms may or may not have an assistant manager, and so of course they'd be assisting the managers in day-to-day activities, but they also might take a bit more of responsibility for, say, their beef or sheep enterprise, and to have a bit of authority with that. Then we have operational roles. So that's your overseers, station hands, Jillaroos and Jackaroos, and there are other roles out there, but they're not quite so common. So things like secretaries, cooks, gardeners, governesses, maintenance staff, and mechanics. So just going back to the overseers, they sort of report to the managers if there are some, and they'll supervise and coordinate the activities of station hands and Jackaroos, and they may just assist the managers where they need to. Station hands, so you could have a station hand that's a bit more experienced, and so they'll take a bit of a role in managing staff below them and training staff, in addition to those normal technical hands-on duties with livestock and machinery. And then Jackaroos and Jillaroos are typically lesser experienced staff, and so they'll be training up to become station hands. And I think it's worth mentioning that in farm positions, typically they have packaged up benefits in addition to their base salary. And so these benefits may be the use of a vehicle, benefits such as rent, maybe bills associated with the rent, and rations with meat, livestock. They also would have super, like any package, and inclusive of overtime. So that could be where those differences are. So in this graph, you can see that the yellow bars are the total package value for each role. And I'm sorry, the graph isn't displaying, but it would be in order of manager, assistant manager, overseer, station hands, Jillaroos and Jackaroos. And so I think it's worth noting that managers tend to have a larger sort of package in relation to the base salary. And so they typically might live on the property itself. So that would, a large part of that would be, say, their vehicle and rent benefits. So it's something to look to if you're really interested in getting into ag, but you think you don't have a lot of experience. I think there's a lot of opportunity in moving into even a Jillaroo role and working your way up with experience and maybe gaining some tertiary qualifications to become a manager level and obtain that higher package. So I think it's worth noting that whilst we collect sort of objective data in terms of salary, we also have done a survey in the past with employees to see what they enjoy about agriculture. And so I think whilst money talks, it's not everything when you're considering a career path. And when they were surveyed and asked what they liked most about working on a farm, the work environment was most often mentioned, followed by the variety of work, the challenges that were presented, and the lifestyle it provided. Finally, the tangible results that can be obtained from their work. So it wasn't so much the salary that was keeping them there, although as we've seen, it is quite competitive with other positions in the industry. There's also a lot of other benefits that you can have in terms of your lifestyle with agriculture. And so I think my personal advice for people moving into the industry is that I would encourage them to consider all the aspects of the position before accepting a job. So consider the environment that you might be working in, whether or not the employer is going to take steps to provide a safe and rewarding workplace, rewarding in terms of a competitive salary package with what your experience and skills sort of deserves, as well as rewarding with benefits in the general environment and acknowledgement of your hard work. I'd consider opportunities to upskill and progress within your career. And so while there might not be a position available as, say, a manager in that workplace, just because of the dynamics of the farm structure, consider the experience that it might offer you in a lower position, say a station hand, and what it can do in terms of taking you to the next step. So I think agriculture is quite diverse, but within farming, there's a lot of transferable skills that can be taken from one farm to the other. And so don't sort of turn away opportunities just because of the position, because as I said, positions can be described sort of by in different ways by different employers, and very much depends on the structure of the farm. So in summary, farming positions have competitive salaries with other industries. Just consider your total package value when you're looking at a new job, and consider the workplace and what it can offer you beyond the salary. Anyone have any questions?
That's fantastic. Thank you, Courtney. It's really interesting how you mentioned that the education that you have undertaken over the years can really help improve your salary expectations. Just like any other career working in agriculture, it's that combination of experience and education that really helps get you a rewarding salary package. If anyone's got any questions, can you just either put your hand up by clicking the little icon down at the bottom of the screen, or perhaps type it into the chat box? Do you think there's lots of employment opportunities out there at the moment, Courtney?
Yeah, I think the industry is always looking for people, but sort of increasingly people, good people. So people that take initiative and possibly taken on some extra training, no matter how sort of small they might think it is, just any way they've upskilled. I think, yeah, so, I mean, there's plenty of people out there looking for jobs, but I think if you're sort of good at taking initiative and a hard worker, you're absolutely going to have a chance to find a position in farming, I think.
Yeah, great. Leon, you've got a question. Do you want to unmute your microphone and ask it, or type it in there? Hi, Leon.
Good morning. How are you going?
Good, thanks. And yourself?
Yeah, really well, thank you. As a part of the salary packaging that you've been discussing and values and whatnot, I missed the first couple of slides. I'm not sure if you've already discussed it, but what about equity into the properties? Say, like I know in dairy, where employees have the opportunity to purchase cows and put them into the herd, and that way they make a bit of extra money, and they also grow their own herds whilst working employment. How do you guys see that fitting into, say, larger scale enterprises?
So I'm sure it does happen. I'm sure it's common, but we don't sort of have a specific category when we're asking those questions. So that might get tied up in other benefits wrapped up. So yeah, no doubt that it might be in people's packages, and that's definitely something that happens, but I don't have data on that. Does that answer your question, Leon?
That's an interesting thing, and perhaps buying into herd could be an interesting way to add to your overall salary package. There's a couple of other questions here, Courtney. Tamworth High School has asked if you where you think the major growth areas are in agriculture at the moment, enterprise and employability.
Okay, so I think I can't really comment on the growth of enterprises so much. Definitely livestock's becoming quite competitive with cropping. In terms of where the opportunities are for employment, I think, so sort of livestock enterprises are more labour intensive than cropping, and so there's that requirement there. But farms are also looking to be more labour efficient in those enterprises. So yeah, I couldn't say that I've seen a definite demand in any enterprise in particular. So I'm sorry, Tamworth, but yeah, I think across the board there's definitely opportunities in farming positions. Yeah.
That's great. Someone has asked, Simone has asked, how you got started with Holmes Sackett.
Holmes Sackett, right. So I have only been with Holmes Sackett for about 2 months, and I have background in ag science. I studied at CSU, and while I was there, I did my work placement with Holmes Sackett for 3 months, which was a fantastic opportunity. And I would encourage people to take on any placement, whether it be voluntary or needed to by your whatever tertiary qualification you're undertaking. I think it's a good way to get into the industry. From there, I graduated in 2017, and I've spent time working in casual agriculture in farmhand positions and working in shearing sheds. So I think first-hand experience, I know that the industry is crying out for good people. And then, so I've spent time at the DPI in research. Finally, Holmes Sackett had a position going. So yeah, that's my background.
That's great. I think those internship positions and voluntary work placements and things like that are a really valuable way to get work experience and get your foot in the door and start to make connections in the industry.
Yeah,
I think we've got one last question there from Jess Cullen. For a student looking at having a gap year without any experience, where do you think they would fall on this average weekly earnings kind of map, Courtney?
Right. So without any practical experience, you're likely to probably fall into that Jackaroo, Jillaroo average weekly earnings, which is sitting between sort of around $800 a week. But yeah, so that's just going off our data, but our database is sort of 180 businesses. So, it's not to say that there wouldn't be other opportunities out there for them, and it depends if they want to move into a farming position, or, as I said, I spent time in the shearing industry, which has different pay rates. So yeah,
and taking that gap year and getting some practical experience under your belt, I think is often a really good idea before students start their tertiary education. Gives them an opportunity to get some practical experience. We might leave that there. Thank you so much, Courtney, for joining us today and providing that information. If anyone does have further questions that they'll like for Courtney, you can forward them to me, and I can pass them on to Courtney after the presentation today. So thank you so much, Courtney.
No problems. Thanks, Melanie.
Okay, you're welcome. Now, our next speaker is Lauren Higginson from Australian Agricultural Company, or AACo as they're often known. Are you there, Lauren?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Just give me a moment to get your presentation up. How are you today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great. Here we go. I'll pass it over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mel. Hi, everyone. So my name's Lauren Higginson. I'm the face on the right. I'm the Senior HRBP at AACo, and I'd also like to present Kate Reid. So she's sitting next to me here. And Kate is, she'll be my co-presenter today, but she started off here with us about 2.5 years as a graduate, and she's now progressed into a role in breeding and genetics. So we'll be talking through a few slides with you today. So my role as a whole, so what do? My role in HR is to support the stations in the Northern Territory. So we have 9 stations, and I also support some groups in head office as well. And my role is to provide an environment that ensures safety and well-being for our people. So all things HR, so everything from, I guess, recruitment, employee engagement activities, objective settings, all those things. So a little bit more about us. So we are Australia's oldest continuously operating company. So we've been in existence for 195 years. We're the only listed pastoral group business in Australia, and we have a diverse property portfolio. And the reason why we have this is to minimise the impact of environmental factors such as flooding and drought, which we've recently experienced both of those pieces. We have a diverse property portfolio allows us to breed Wagyu. So I'll pass you over to Kate now to talk to you about our world-class herd.
So we've got cattle across 21 stations across Australia. We've got different breeding programs at each of these. So we've got a full-blood Wagyu stud, a purebred Wagyu operation focusing on poll, a composite bull breeding unit which has our own stable AC composite. And basically we put the full-blood or purebred Wagyu bulls over these composite cows and we produce our F1 Wagyus. So these F1s go through our backgrounding and then are fed at our feedlots. So we have two feedlots, one Aranui near Dalby and one Gnu near Comet, which is up in sort of central Queensland near Emerald. And they're predominantly filled with all AACo bred cattle. We've got 4 different feeding programs. We've got high quality beef, so HQB, EU, F1, and our full blood program. So these have a range across days on feed and different specs in which we aim for. We've also got a pretty cool technology at GNU called GrowSafe, and this is basically a feed bunk system which it picks out the individual animal which is eating at the time and it calculates how much feed it's eating, and we can basically work out ADGs and feed efficiencies from those animals. So we put our sire bulls through programs, so both Wagyu and composite, and yeah, it basically just allows us to pick out our best sires for future generations of cattle.
Brilliant. Okay, so as Australia's oldest operating company, we know our people are our key to our success. So no career journey is the same at AACo. With some of our people joining us as station hands and then continuing their journey on the station, and some continue their career journey into more specific roles or management roles, and some even move to Brisbane head office. A great example of this is our regional manager in the Northern Territory. So he actually grew up on station and started working as a station hand during his school holidays, and then his career progressed across regions, and then he was in a number of different roles. And now he manages 4 stations in the NT as a regional manager. Okay, so we like to think of ourselves as leaders in the industry and hold ourselves to high standards. We want to look after our people. So above the pay and accommodation, we like to give our people learning and development opportunities, develop our people through career conversations, which we do each year, and offer transfers as well. So we also want our people to have fun. So international events and those sorts of things, we have an annual employee challenge. Oh, I think we're missing a slide.
Oh.
Okay, so we have a number of positions as listed on the slide above. And we break our roles into 2 groups. So we've got pastoral and we've got corporate. So if you can see on there, we've got station hands, farm hands, etc. But we've also got other roles, such as pilots. So we've got 7 planes across our stations at the moment with 8 pilots who run those planes. We've also got rangeland roles you'll see listed there. So we attract people with environmental backgrounds because we want our properties to be sustainable for the future. So being a listed business, we have approximately 70 staff at the Brisbane office, and these people come from all different backgrounds and they support our diverse workforce. We have livestock logistics, sales and marketing, HR, finance, as you can see listed on the screen. And I'm very excited to announce that at the end of this week, so Friday, we're going to be opening up our 2020 graduate program. So applications we can receive those at the end of this week, and they'll be open for around about a month. And we've had a lot of success with our graduate program, Kate being an example, sitting next to me here. But we've had other graduates move into other roles, so analyst roles, station management, livestock roles. And so our program this year, we have 3 vacancies, and it's open to anyone finishing their studies in December 2019. So that's the university studies. The first year will be a hands-on rotation between farms, feedlots and stations. And then the second year we'll have more specialised rotations, whether that be farm, feedlot, stations, or potentially roles in head office. Okay, so we advertise our roles. I know there's a couple of questions earlier around where to find roles and things. So we advertise our roles through our website, and we also post our adverts on Facebook. So there's a number of different Facebook groups, so ringers at the top end and the like. So I'd suggest joining those groups if that's what you're interested in. And earlier we mentioned about the grad program, but in October this year we'll also be opening our season recruitment for 2020. And that wraps up our presentation for today. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much, Lauren. Again, if I can get people to pop their hand up or, I just have a question and then I'll go to Kim for the next question. Lauren, that seasonal program you're opening up towards the end of the year, is that suitable for students who are looking to do a gap year?
Yes, absolutely. So it's generally speaking, it's for station hands. So we open that up. So if you've got experience, you've grown up on a farm or you've got general farm hand experience, that's great. But if not, also apply, and I guess just sort of stipulate in your application that you've got a keen interest, to do your first year. Yeah.
Great. Kim Stoney. Kim, do you want to unmute your mic and ask away?
I'm wondering what the annual employee challenge is, please.
Sure.
Yeah, I can do that. So basically it's a chance for all the stations in a region to get together. It's a great event. It goes for about 2 or 3 days, and basically you all get together and you have like a horse competition. So basically riding like a dry work pattern or a camp draft pattern, for those of you who are into that. We do a shoeing competition, so everybody on the stations learns how to shoe a horse. We do heaps of other activities like cattle work, picking out different types of cattle, different weights of cattle, anything from water supplies to rangelands, and it basically just is a bit of a competitive streak between the stations. So everybody gets really passionate and really competitive against each other, and yeah, you sort of have a little competition and ribbons and winners at the end of it. So yeah, it's a really great competition. Everybody really gets into it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Tamworth High School has asked, do you offer working on the properties and doing online studies for university? So would you support employees to do studies while they're working?
So in terms of work experience? Yeah, so we do, I guess in regards to, opportunities in Northern Territory, we just need to make sure that insurance are covered by the school. But if that's something that you're very interested in, just reach out to us on our email. So I'll just go back, so that's on the screen. hr@aaco.com.au, shoot us through an email, attach your resume if you have one, and let us know that you're interested in work experience and studying, and then we'll look at what we can do for you.
Well, it sounds like a great place to do work experience. I think Tamworth was actually asking if someone could do their university study online while working on one of your properties.
Oh, that's a good question. It's something we'd be certainly open to.
Yeah, something certainly, Tamworth, you could certainly do, say, a diploma and an advanced diploma with us while you were working anywhere in Australia on a property. That's one of the things that we offer, and actually it's former students of ours have gone on to work with AACo and really loved it. So it's definitely possible. Canowindra High School has a question. Canowindra, can you, oh, they're just typing their question. Julie also had a question. What roles might there be for a Cert 4 or diploma students in your graduate program? Must you have a tertiary degree for the graduate program?
Yes, for the graduate program, yes, we do require a university degree for that one. In regards to the second part of your question, so around Cert 4s, I mean, people that have Cert 4s or diplomas, they're very welcome to apply for any of the roles that we have advertised on our website. So, and that can be anything from, you know, like we were talking about before, around station hands or something that's, I guess, you know, rangelands if they're interested in, I guess, weed management and that sort of thing. So, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Canowindra High School, their question was, what is the minimum age to go up and work on a station with AACo? Do you have a minimum age?
We do. It's, I guess, just in terms of, I believe it's after grade 10. So after you've finished your grade 10, the earn and learn, you're able to apply.
Great. Any final questions? I was really interested in everything you had to say today, Lauren and Kate. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really interesting that some of the things that came across in your presentation was how important safety is to you, but also sustainability. And the other thing I picked up on was that use of innovation and technology and how that's been incorporated into farming, which sometimes people don't necessarily realise how technologically advanced farming has become these days.
Absolutely. Fantastic, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Tamworth High School's got one last question. Do you have positions for a full-time vet role?
Currently, we don't. Unfortunately, we're not currently recruiting for a vet, but you know, you never know what will pop up in the future. So definitely keep an eye on the careers website.
That's good advice, and I would totally recommend following AACo on Facebook as well. It's very active there. They post lots of information. Thank you so much, Lauren and Kate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us again. If anyone has any other questions for AACo, I'm sure you can email AACo on that hr@aaco.com.au email address, or forward it to me and I will pass that those questions on.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Julie, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Melanie, for asking me to do this today. I'm very pleased to be here and I hope you get something out of what I've got to share. So Glenn and I were very lucky this year. We achieved a New South Wales Farmer of the Year, and I think the reason for that was because of the diversity we have on our farm. We've been farming for 30 years. We're fourth generation farmers. We're broadacre, so we produce rice, wheat, corn, and we're looking at going into cotton in the future. Glenn's also a Sunrise Director, has been for 8 years, and he's recently just been voted the local councillor in Griffith. So very busy man, and I'm probably his PA is what I call myself. So we run the business together. We have 4 adult children who all help out on the farm, and we all work together in everything we do. Even to the point, the day that we won our awards, we were in Sydney receiving that. We were in the middle of corn harvest. And obviously had to go to receive the award, but we left our 2 adult sons to run the harvest, and they did that in their stride. Loved every minute of it, and we're lucky that they help us out. So these are our 4 kids, which we're both very proud of. And I guess given the topic for today, our oldest son Daniel, he's our in-house accountant. He actually went away to study at university. Always wanted to be a farmer, but I have a huge respect for education, and I've told all my children that I need them to study something, and I've told them right from the get-go I didn't care what they wanted to be, whether it was a farmer or an accountant, a lawyer, or a truck driver. I didn't care, as long as they went and got some sort of tertiary study. So Daniel's an accountant, and he chose that because now, after 4 years of actually working as an accountant, he is soon to be coming on the farm full time, and he already runs all our accounting portfolio. He runs all our accounts, does every spreadsheet. We like to joke about the fact that in the past, Glenn and I could just buy a tractor if we needed it, but now Daniel has to run the spreadsheet to make sure we can make good decisions. So it's a joke in the house, but it's also a good security for us to have. Laura has just qualified as a solicitor. So although that doesn't sound like a farming job, the way farming's going these days, there are that many contracts and paperwork that come through the email and over the desk that it's becoming almost overwhelming sometimes, and it's a really nice thing to have a daughter in the house who I can say, Laura, can you just read this, tell me where I sign? So, there's lots of different careers in farming, not just out on the land. Brendan, our third born, is currently completing a Fear and Turner apprenticeship, which has obvious advantages for the farm. He fixes everything that Daniel breaks. Is our joke. Tanika is currently doing Year 12. She's captain at Marion, and she's looking at studying either science or law and looking at agronomy. And again, another little joke, because of our succession plan, we sort of decided we've sort of got everything covered, but we needed an agronomist. So she's seriously thinking about studying science. So that's our family and our team, I guess. We bought our farm 30 years ago after we split from our farming family. Glenn obviously started off with his father, and we bought our first farm together, went into a huge lot of debt, and yeah, got through. That was in 1991. Then we lived through the drought, as everyone else has. We bought the farm next door in 2003. And in 2006, we sunk a bore. Glenn and I work together in everything we do. He's the numbers man, and I call myself the bookkeeper. I just keep everything organised, I guess. We sunk a bore years ago, and that has been a huge success given the issues with water that we've had. So that has been a lifesaver for as far as being able to keep us farming. Technology is huge on our farm, obviously machinery, but Glenn's big on technology. He has probably a tractor, a computer on every single tractor we have. It saves a lot of time, fuel, money and fertiliser, and it helps with his mental health. Where Glenn would have to employ people to do jobs, his motto is, because we're a small enterprise, he likes to own good quality machinery that works so that he doesn't have to work on the machinery, he can work with the machinery, and he tries to employ new technologies that make everything a lot easier. I think looking at everything we've done over the years and winning this award, I think our holistic look, the holistic way we run our business has probably been our biggest success as to why we won this. We try to take care of the environment. We obviously have solar panels. We have a succession plan, technologies. Our succession plan has probably been a big, I guess, support for our business, given that we work together. We employ extra labour during harvest, so truck drivers, tractor drivers. And we've currently had a young boy working for us driving our landforming tractor and bucket, and he's been working for us for the last 10 months or so, and he's landformed 2 properties for us. He's enjoyed working and we've enjoyed having him. His expertise has been phenomenal. He's done work that Glenn never would have been able to do, and Daniel, as an accountant, actually didn't have the experience to do. So it's been great having him on board. So we've done lots of landforming, and I'm just running through these slides just to show just some of the diversity, and I guess just to let everyone out there know that obviously farming's not just about getting on a tractor. If you want a career in farming, there's plenty of opportunities in IT. As an example here, when we were receiving our award, Daniel was harvesting and Glenn was sitting at the lunch table watching Daniel harvest, and he knew exactly what run he was in, and he got that all off his phone. So Glenn's a real gadgets man. I talk a lot about our family and our succession plan because I believe succession planning for us has been a huge benefit. Things haven't happened accidentally. When Daniel first decided to go off to uni, he tried to choose a career that would complement the business, and the other kids have all done the same. So I guess we're trying to be as self-sufficient as possible. Obviously all our kids work for us, so they've got part-time roles on the farm as well as their full-time roles, but having all our staff in-house and family makes it a really nice place to work, gives them ownership, and it gives them real drive to want to be farmers. I guess seeing the success of the business has made them see another side of a career that they probably never thought of before, and it's taught them to work hard. And in saying that, as an example, I guess, which is probably what high school kids are looking at, when Daniel did his gap year, he actually completed a diploma of agriculture during his gap year. And at that time, he was not really sure what he was going to go and study. He had obviously applied for finance and commerce, but was wondering about law. So he actually also did a couple of units of law while he was at home, just to try it, see how he liked it, and that helped him make his decision without having to move away from home and possibly be in the wrong course. So he did a fair bit of online study while he was at home, and in that time he worked on the farm for us and also had a couple of part-time jobs in town. So he had a big gap year, worked hard, saved a lot of money, and then went off to uni knowing exactly what he wanted to do, which I guess was a nice thing for him to do, and got a diploma of ag out of it on top of his other tertiary education. I guess the funniest thing that comes to mind with me with our kids and their careers, Daniel always wanted to be a farmer. Even as a young 2-year-old, always said he was going to be a farmer, but I was adamant that all our kids were going to study. And the day he graduated from university, I said to him, "Oh, son, what are you going to do now? You know, I'm so proud of you." And he said, "Mum, I'm going to get this piece of paper that you made me get, I'm going to stick it on your forehead, and I'm going to jump on a tractor." So I guess the moral of that story is that if you're passionate about farming, it doesn't matter what anyone wants you to do, you will do it and you'll get there. And he's proven that, his hard work ethic has gotten him there, and he's just worked towards doing that. When it comes to farming, I think one of the biggest issues that I would love to see happen is for us to educate our children in the ways of water. Water is the biggest obstacle for farming at the moment, and if kids don't know about the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, they should probably Google it and find out and learn about it. It's important that we educate our city cousins. I think people in the city are so unaware of the struggles that we have on the farm, and it's all due to water. While we can all get through the droughts and the hard times and the debts, we can't control government policies. So I think if kids grow up learning about these things, it may help the future leaders. That is all the children that are listening today are all future leaders. I believe there's a huge future in farming. I mean, what better way could you spend your life other than growing food to feed people? And the biggest thing is knowing that we're in Australia and we have a green and clean farming reputation. We just need to be educated. We need to take care of our environment. We need to work together to make sustainable decisions. And I really believe it's so important to educate our children and the importance of agriculture. Working together is part of that. And that's why I enjoy to do these short presentations, and I appreciate being asked. I just feel it's great that kids are interested in farming. There was a time, probably 10 years ago, when we were going through the worst drought in history, and Glenn and I were in debt up to our eyeballs and weren't really sure where our future was going back then. And even as our kids used to say they wanted to be farmers, Glenn used to think, and I'll quote his words, he used to think that farming was the worst form of child abuse, purely because of the insecurity at the time of not having water and not knowing if we were going to grow crops. Things have changed for us now, and things are looking up, things are great, and we couldn't be prouder of our kids, and we couldn't be prouder of the business we've built together with the help of our kids. We've all made a huge sacrifice to be here. They've all worked hard on the farm. They all, in the middle of the drought, even lent us money for cash flow so that we could keep going. Just a small example of the fact that farming's not an easy life if you actually own a property, but I think there is a lot of scope for a career in farming, given that if, following on from the previous speakers, if you're a good worker, you know, you can go into agronomy, accounting, you can be a labourer, but if you're a good worker, any good farmer will keep you on board and, yeah, encourage further study and skills training so that eventually you may well become a manager. And talking again about succession planning, we have seen with neighbours where a worker has been in the business helping the owner for so many years, and then when the children eventually, some decide that they don't want to farm and they move to the city, rather than the owner sell the farm, he actually sells it to his long-time staff who's probably been there since they were 15, 16, and they end up having ownership or a huge management role in the business. So huge scope for people if they're good workers. So yeah, I commend RuralBiz for doing this today. Glenn and I have both done studies through RuralBiz, very proud of that too. Another thing we did during the drought. So I encourage everyone to do any sort of courses, whether it's university, online, even, you know, white card, anything that will help you be employable and give you a bright future in farming. So if there's any questions, I'm not sure if I've covered everything everyone wanted to hear, but yeah.
Thank you so much, Julie. What a fascinating story that you've shared with us, and really it's so clear that the things that are really important to you is, well, clearly your family, the passion you've got for your family and the passion your family has for farming, and education is really, that's what stood out for me. Does anyone have a question for Julie? One thing I've noticed come through in a couple of our presentations today, Julie, is how important it is really to be managing that climate risk these days, that if it's not a drought and there's a flood or a fire, you guys seem to spend a lot of time sort of shoring up your business and making it sustainable against that climate risk. Would you agree?
Definitely. I think that's one of our biggest assets. Apparently New South Wales farmers thought so too. It's our water portfolio that brought us to their attention. We have bore water and high security and general security water, so that at any given time, depending on, you know, what's happening in the environment, we've always got water. And that was Glenn's plan when we went through the first drought. That was back in 2005. We had to shut off water to the rice crop, and excuse me, that was right behind our lounge room window, and we literally watched that die. And that was the most heartbreaking thing we had to go through as far as farming at the time. And Glenn swore he was never going to go through that again. And the following year, in 2006, he decided to sink the bore, and it was a huge undertaking as far as financial, but that's what's kept us going, and that's been the slightly little edge, I guess, that we've had that has kept us moving forward, and the ability to grow different crops. So depending on what water you have, how much the crop is paying at the time, we're able to either grow rice, corn, wheat, and now we're looking at cotton. So yeah.
Right, wow, yeah, I can imagine that just would have been heartbreaking, and it's fantastic that you found a way to shore up against that water risk, and by putting that bore in and diversifying your crops. Simone Wilson is just asking how large your property is in hectares.
Okay, so we own 2 properties, about 370 hectares, and we've just purchased, my father-in-law, our succession plan is coming into play, he's retiring, so we've just purchased his property. It's 265 hectares, and at the end of the year we're looking at a leasing agreement with a farmer next door, with a view to, in the next 2 years, we're purchasing another property. So, you know, in comparison to some cattle farms, we're very small, but for what we do, that's what we can manage.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great that your business is growing and thriving in that way. And I hope everyone, I think everyone's found your story really inspiring, and it's great to hear from some people who are still farming as a family. You know, there's a lot of corporate agriculture happening now very successfully, as we saw from AACo, but it's good to know that there's also a spot for that family farm.
Yeah, look, it's important to us. We're 4th generation, and love to encourage young people to look at farming. And again, so many different careers, from IT to, you know, everything. You know, it's just limited to your imagination and how hard you want to work and how much you want to skill yourself, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julie. We really appreciate your time and effort you've put into your presentation. If anyone has any further questions for Julie, please feel free to send them through to me after today's session, and I will forward them on to her, and I'm sure she will get back to you when she has the chance.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye, Julie. Next up, we have Lucy Faithful. Now, Lucy works with Landcare. Are you there, Lucy?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Lucy. I'll just bring up your presentation. Now, Lucy, do you want to tell us a little bit? I'll just leave it. I'll pass it over to you and let you take it away.
Okay, my name's Lucy Faithful. I live in Glen Innes and I work for a Landcare organisation called Glenrack, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later on in the presentation. But I just want to thank you all. Thank you, Julie, for a start. That was a really inspiring talk. And thank all of you for joining me as I introduce you to the concept of Landcare as a career opportunity. So Landcare is a very broad brush when it comes to purpose and job prospects. In his speech, The Statement of the Environment in 1989, Prime Minister Bob Hawke declared, "Accordingly, we are declaring next year the Year of Landcare. It will be the first year in a decade of Landcare that will provide, as never before, a focus for protecting the most fundamental ingredient, both of our natural environment and of our agricultural prosperity, our soil." Now, I'd really love you to look at your hands. Now look at the back of your hands. So we need your hands. The Landcare movement, which is represented by the distinctive symbol of the caring hands, developed nationally in 1989 and has transformed the landscape, enabling farmers, landholders and conservationists to work together at a local level on local issues. Farmers realised it made good business sense, and environmentalists realised they needed to work constructively with farmers as managers of at least half Australia's landmass. The strength of Landcare is that community groups and networks, with government, philanthropic and corporate support, conceive their own visions and set goals for local and regional environmental action. Working from the ground up to achieve these goals creates freedom and flexibility, giving communities a great sense of purpose and ownership of the projects. People see results and want to be part of it. Landcare is community-based leadership in action. It's a different side of agriculture, helping people repair damage and assisting the uptake of sustainable regenerative land use. The movement has expanded and evolved significantly since then and is achieving results Australia-wide. Groups across Australia are focused on best practice sustainable agriculture and expert management of natural assets, such as soil, water and native vegetation. The movement includes Landcare groups, farming system groups, friends of groups, and Indigenous land management groups. It's estimated that there are more than 400 groups and over 100,000 volunteers across Australia caring for the land. Landcare gives these individuals and groups a platform where their voices can be heard and they can connect with like-minded people. Collective action is still the heart of our success. Landcare groups organise projects, support volunteers, seek funding and develop partnerships. Landcare has helped transform the landscape and is at the forefront of dealing with environmental, agricultural and social challenges facing Australia. So this slide shows some of the activities supported by Landcare that include environmental activities, such as, they're there on the screen, I'll read a few of them out: bush regen and weed control, revegetation, creating and repairing walking tracks, stabilising sand dunes, protecting threatened species, working with groups to encourage the control of weeds and pests, and developing and sharing local natural resource management skills and knowledge. So some of the agricultural activities that are carried out by Landcare are promoting sustainable farm practices and sustainable cropping techniques. As Julie pointed out, that's really important. Local group and area fox and wild dog control programs, drought management programs, safe chemical use and storage, minimising runoff, building soil carbon, managing climate variability, managing groundwater and salinity, and coordinated action among neighbouring landholders to plant corridors for wildlife. Landcarers also participate in workshops, field days, site tours, and collaborative learning. We're constantly seeking new and innovative ideas to bring to our landholders. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of overlap between the environmental and agricultural issues addressed. And you can see it's a wide-ranging job requiring a wide range of skills. Research has shown that the on-ground works undertaken by Landcare lead to improvements in the condition of our natural resources. What's more, these works are accomplished in a very cost-effective way in terms of the stuff done relative to the amount of money invested. This cost-effectiveness is credited to the way Landcare can manage this work in a low-cost, high-quality way, as well as encouraging volunteer labour and significant landholder donations, both cash and in kind, towards the projects. Some areas of active Landcare groups have umbrella organisations employing Landcare coordinators to work with the local Landcare groups to increase their capacity. So this slide is showing the organisation that I work for. The Glen Innes Natural Resources Advisory Committee, or GlenRAC, is one of those umbrella organisations. And it is who I work with and was formed at the same time as Landcare nationally, so we have our 30th birthday this year, but chose to keep its own logo rather than go with the Landcare hands. My job title is Landcare Coordinator, and I work with a team of 6 project officers and our Executive Director, currently running 18 different projects from our organisation. This is a constantly revolving door though, and very dependent on funding from projects. So the slide I'm showing you shows you our logo, our values, and a summary of our strategic plan. Landcare New South Wales has a job description for a Landcare coordinator on their website, which includes abilities such as is proactive with a community-minded attitude, has excellent networking and people skills, has good communication, coordination, administration and computing skills, has a strong interest in and commitment to local environmental and agricultural land management issues, can manage their workload effectively, is flexible about their working hours over the period of employment and has a current driver's licence. One of the important jobs for Glenrack is to seek local issues and local solution ideas through group action plans. These plans are created by each Landcare group in our area and, along with our strategic plan, shape the funding we apply for so our area is continually funded to address local issues. This slide shows project reporting for the last 2 Glenrack AGMs. It gives a broad overview of what Glenrack has been doing each year. This shows the diversity of our work and the flexibility needed to maintain it. We grew in membership and funding, but had no on-ground work projects in the 9 new grants secured in 17-18, so it really is a different workplace each year. Most of the Glenrack team members have TAFE and university education, mostly in science and project management fields, but we do provide on-the-job training for people who are willing to have a go. We also provide ongoing training opportunities to staff to increase their capacity in many fields. The position will differ in different areas, but the people and project skills will be needed in any Landcare position. I recently asked our newest, youngest employee why she'd chosen to work at Glenrack. She answered, "It fits my values. I can work in my area of interest. I could see Glenrack was doing great things for the community, especially in terms of sustainable agriculture, and the position is flexible. I wish someone had told me about Landcare when I was still at school." Some of the examples of the 18 projects we've run in the last 12 months are Drought Support Glen Innes Style 2019. So through this funding, we've been increasing the capacity of the landholders and villagers in our shire so they can get through the dry. We've been doing things like enabling people to fill in their freight rebate forms and fill out water infrastructure subsidy forms. We've provided events for rest, mental health and relaxation, and events for information such as biosecurity, drought plans, carbon farming, and our annual farmer update. We also provided time out from the dry dinners. Our Trees on Small Farms is a project supplying trees to properties under 200 hectares, where our usual participants have much larger blocks of land. The Bold and Beautiful project and a few of the other projects we have going cover new and recent social media applications, as well as succession planning and how to connect to the internet and use your smartphone. We have a group of 3 National Landcare Program 2 projects, and these projects are jointly funded through the Northern Tablelands Local Land Services and the Australian Government's National Landcare Program. They include core services, Little Llangollen Nature Reserve Ramsar site, which is working on the protection and enhancement of this unique area, and Turning the Tide on Threatened Species Region Honeyeater, which is part of a 3-state project trying to stop this bird becoming extinct by raising awareness and increasing and improving its habitat. Another project we're about to start is Soils in the Spotlight, where Glenrack will be helping increase the knowledge and capacity of landholders in the Glen Innes district to adopt and implement improved soil management practices, right back to Bob Hawke's initial purpose for Landcare. So this is a job for those who are interested and or passionate about the health and sustainability of our environment and the people of Australia. We don't have a specific career progression, saying that we have lost a number of people to Landcare New South Wales, but we know they will be advocating for us in their new roles. We don't have set salaries, very subject to project funding, or specific skills or qualifications. But, as I indicated earlier, it is a fantastic job full of great learning opportunities, growth in flexibility in a constantly changing funding environment, and very fulfilling. I sometimes pinch myself as I can't always believe I'm being paid to do what I love doing. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope this at least encourages you to look into Landcare. Find out if you have a group in your area and what they're doing. Join in as a volunteer and or seek the skills to be part of this great organisation. Thanks again, and I don't know if we've got time for questions, but if we do, has anyone got a question?
Thanks so much, Lucy. Yeah, if anyone can just pop their hand up or pop their questions in the chat box. It is so great that you've, got this wonderful job that fits in with your values, and your staff are saying that as well. Where would people go, Lucy, to see what job vacancies were in their local area, or perhaps in Landcare, New South Wales, or in their state at the moment? Do you have jobs on your websites?
Look, it's more likely to come up on Landcare New South Wales or the other state Landcare network places. Although I think there are some on the big main, job search engines.
Oh yeah.
At Glenrack, we tend to, we advertise publicly for positions when we have them, but we also seem to have a lot of people who are already wanting to be here. So. We don't often have to advertise our jobs.
Great. And do you have people that move, say, from your volunteer network into paid employment with Landcare?
Yes, we do, yes. And that's what I was saying. We are seeking a broad range of skills, and you certainly don't have to have them all. Like I said to Kylie a few months ago, I don't want to have any of the, in inverted commas, killing projects, because that's not why I joined Landcare. And that's okay, because we have another project officer who's quite willing to do the rolling out the, the fox baiting and the cat baiting and the weed spraying and those sort of projects. So that's really good.
Yeah, great. And I guess it just lets you build a team that, everyone brings their own strengths to the team. So I think that sort of covers off Tamworth High School's question there about what skills would make you more employable by Landcare. Do you have anything to add?
I'd actually.
Oh, sorry, Lucy, your audio.
A really fantastic. Are you still?
Yeah, you're just dropping in and out a little bit there, Lucy, but okay. We might
just say RuralBiz.
Okay. I think Lucy's connection is just dropping out quite a bit, so we might get Lucy to type something into the chat session, and we can come back to that a little bit later. Thank you so much for joining us, Lucy. It's good to have an insight into a career that works with agriculture, but is not directly, you're not farming directly, but you're supporting farmers and environmental sustainability, which is so important to farming. Next up, we're going to start looking at the education pathways that you might find in a career, or that you might go through in a career in agriculture. And our next speaker is a student. Jess Noddle is a RuralBiz training student. She lives down in South Australia, and she works for PGG Rights and Seeds. I'll just see if Jess can hear us.
I'm here now.
Oh, great. Thanks for joining us, cool. Jess. I will hand it over to you.
Cool, thanks. So hi everyone, my name is Jess Noddle, and I got asked by the team at RuralBiz to just come and have a bit of a chat with you guys today about my experience studying with them. So I'm a seed production agronomist, and as Mel said before, I work for PGG Rights and Seeds, and I'm based in the lower southeast of South Australia. So it's my job to work with farmers to help them grow good quality and profitable pasture seed crops, which our company then purchases the seed from the farm. So I'm effectively an agronomist or advisory role. My role is mainly focused on producing listen seed plus aerial subclover seed, but we also do a few like forage cereals and a few pulse crops in South Australia as well. I also look after a few clients in Western Victoria and Lower New South Wales. And previously I was in an office job, and I'm absolutely loving being out in the field now. So a bit of my history, I guess. I've previously had no aspirations to become an agronomist or be really involved in agriculture at all. My previous jobs have all been office-based, sort of indirectly related to agriculture in a way. I live in a pretty small town, so it's hard not to be a part of the farming community in some way or another. I was working for PGG Rights and Seeds in their Keith office in South Australia, overseeing some logistics there when a trainee agronomist position became available at the company in Keith. Sorry about my mic, it's playing up. So I jumped at the opportunity to become a trainee agronomist at 26 years old. So took my time to make up my mind what I wanted to do with my career. So after 2 or 3 months on the job, I started learning the basics of crop agronomy. I didn't really know too much about, and then I started looking for a respectable training provider and cut across RuralBiz training just by a Google search. And I was looking to complete a diploma level qualification at an affordable price, and I wanted it to be to be able to complete it online and self-paced and have assistance available if I needed it. So after a bit of dialogue with RuralBiz, going to and fro, choosing course content and understanding how their training program works, I signed up to complete a double diploma, one in agriculture and one in agronomy. So I started the course almost 18 months ago now, and I was pretty surprised with the course content and how it was relevant to my job. The course content's structured around the things that you're learning and the things that are applicable to you and your area. I based all my assessments on farms which I was working on, so then I could then share my findings and my new knowledge with those farmers, and all were super supportive and really appreciative of any advice I could give them. Most of my farmers took on my learning, and we're already starting to see some of the benefits of them doing so. Each subject that I've studied, they flow really well. RuralBiz provides some really good training material, and there's loads of references which I go back to all the time. And throughout the course, they have some small quizzes along the way just to make sure that you're on the right track when you're studying, you're not getting lost. And I was also pleasantly surprised with the assessments for each subject. Completing assessments in the sections as you progress through the subject makes it pretty streamlined, and you're also completing the assessment questions when you've got new information fresh in your mind. For each subject I completed with RuralBiz, I also needed to complete an ag forum, which is similar to this really. It's an online chat group with other students which are currently studying. You can talk about what's going on in your area and share your experiences. And a really good opportunity for me to network and hear from others in all sorts of different locations and different sectors within the ag industry.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for that insight. How do you find juggling working full time with study?
Yeah, so definitely studying online is the biggest advantage for RuralBiz with me. It worked really well being able to do it completely self-paced. I could, if I had free time at work, I could just jump on and complete a little bit of an assessment or go do a task in the field. And same on weekends. Like it works really well. And during the busy time, I think I had to get an extension there probably in summer last year when it was really busy at work and I just didn't have time to complete anything. But RuralBiz are really open to, I guess, the flexibility of, and they understand. I guess if you are working on a farm or you are studying at school, or you do have a full-time job, they're appreciative of that and they help you out if you need it. Yeah.
Thanks, Jess. And do you find that your employer is supportive of you doing this study?
Yeah, absolutely. Being a trainee position, it was open to complete some new studies. So they've been fully supportive all the way through, and I've even been teaching a few of my colleagues a few things that I've learned, which has been really great.
Fantastic. Did anyone have any questions for Jess about her role as an agronomist or her role as a student? If you do, just pop something in the box there. It's great, those photos you've got up there of you completing some of the practical assessment activities that you've had to do with RuralBiz training.
Yeah, they were really quite simple tasks, but yeah, super helpful in the field. Just little things that you pick up along the way are super helpful.
That's great. Just Julie's said thank you there. It's definitely an interesting option, I think, for students to go and get a traineeship position and undertake some study while they're doing it. There's another question just popping up. Narissa James is just asking, Jess, how long have you been working in the industry?
Yeah, so I'm just coming up to completing 2 years, so I've almost finished my traineeship now. But before that, I worked for PGG Rights and Seeds, but wasn't really, I guess, active in the agriculture industry, more of an office-based job.
Yeah, right. And but it's great that you can start in that sort of administrative role or office-based role and move into something that's a little bit more practical and also a little bit more specialised.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know where an opportunity might pop up, and there are so many opportunities in agriculture.
Absolutely agree. Thanks so much, Jess. If anyone does have questions for Jess that we haven't managed to cover off today, just feel free again to shoot them through to me after the presentation and I'll forward them on to Jess. Thanks so much for sticking with us this far. I'm just going to sorry, just one last question, Jess. Benjamin's asking, are you enjoying your role as an agronomist?
Yep, I absolutely love it. Getting out in the field is by far my favourite thing about my job, and working with farmers, having contact with new people and networking. I've met so many new people, both through my study and my work. Unreal. I love it.
That's great. And you do a fair bit of travelling too, Jess, if I'm right.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, get up into sort of lower New South Wales and northern Victoria a fair bit. So, yeah, it's good. We've got crops sort of spread over everywhere, and yeah, great opportunity to get around a bit.
Well, thanks for your insight into how you got into being an agronomist and how the study has helped you and how you found that. It's really good to hear from a student about their pathway. Okay, I'm just going to talk to everyone for a few minutes now. I hope by now that you're all getting excited about finding your future in ag, possibly, and the wide range of roles that might be available to you. You might also be wondering, where do you start? There's so many options. Where do you start? I've put together just a little word map of a few of the different careers you could find in agriculture, and we have covered off on a few of them today. So, if you're interested in science, technology and innovation, there's absolutely a spot for you in agriculture in the future. As the Andreazzas mentioned, their IT connectivity is really, really important to them, and those apps that are available now to communicate from a tractor harvesting to a farm owner sitting at an awards dinner in Sydney really is part of what's given them the edge in their farming enterprise. The need to produce feed and fibre for clothing for a growing global population is really going to just only increase the demand for roles in agriculture, both directly farming and in the logistical support range, so bankers, shipping, truck drivers, scientists, all of those roles I think will grow over the next 20 years in agriculture. A great place to start, if you're not too sure, is to perhaps check out the Career Harvest website, which is a project of the Primary Industries Education Foundation of Australia. And you'll find that they have some really great information on different careers that are available that you might be interested in. It lets you search what interests you. It lets you search what, gives you some information about what skills or qualifications you might need to get into a particular role. And it also has lots of information about scholarship opportunities and internship opportunities that might be happening. So that's a really good one to keep in mind. And if you're a teacher of ag or primary industries, I'd definitely be making your students aware of the Career Harvest website if you haven't already. Now, I'm just going to talk about education pathways a little bit. The Australian Qualifications Framework specifies the standards for educational qualifications in Australia from Certificate 1 right through to PhD or doctoral degree studies. And you see there that some of those studies are looked after by the vocational education and training system, and some of those levels are looked after by the university system. And you'll notice in the middle there, there is a bit of an overlap between vocational education and training and the university system. This is really important because what it actually means is that AQF level 5, where you can see diploma, that is generally accepted to be equivalent to the first year of the university degree. So what you'll find is that a lot of universities will give you recognition for study that you've done in the vocational system. So if you want to take a gap year and do a diploma, you'll find that a lot of universities will give you recognition for that level 5 or 6 study that you have done, and perhaps give you a better standing in a degree qualification at a university if that interests you. Now, who are RuralBiz Training anyway? We are a registered training organisation, and we specialise just in delivering agriculture courses from Certificate 3 through to Advanced Diploma, and we do it all online. So most of our students come from regional, rural or remote areas of Australia, and they want to be able to study. They want to be able to study where they live, where their farms are, their families are, and their communities are. So RuralBiz offers the technology and the flexibility to do this. Another thing that's really important is our trainers and our course designers are farmers, so they understand the course content, and these courses have been written specifically for people that are working in the farming industry. We have inside our agricultural study areas, we have a number of different specialities that we offer. Agriculture and agronomy, agribusiness and agribusiness management, horticulture, conservation and land management, organic farming, viticulture, and community coordination and facilitation. That community coordination and facilitation qualification is one that a lot of Landcare facilitators enrol in, and is really being developed specifically for those Landcare coordinators to help them work with communities and build skills in that area. So you can check out our website if you want more information about any particular course that we offer. We do offer a fully integrated degree pathway with the University of New England. Now, this is where that overlap between the vocational education system and the university system really comes into play. You can study this degree online as an external student, both with us and with UNE, or you can study on campus in Armidale as a full-time face-to-face student. And the way that this degree works is you combine a Diploma of Agriculture, an Advanced Diploma of Agribusiness Management with some university study, and you come out with the 3 qualifications, the third one being a Bachelor of Agricultural Production and Management, and you major in one of those key areas, so cropping, livestock, horticulture, poultry or feedlot management. We currently have a whole bunch of students going through this degree course, both as external students and face-to-face students in Armidale. And if you want any more information about that course, if you're looking to head off to uni next year, or you want to take a gap year and get started on your diploma, please give us a call and we'll talk to you about those options. A little bit more about doing a gap year. We've heard this a few times right through the presentations today, just how important education is. And a gap year is a great opportunity that a lot of students these days are doing to, one, get a little bit of practical work experience under their belt, perhaps put a bit of money in the bank. And also it's a great opportunity for you to do some study and have that study then recognised by university should you choose to go down that path. So, you know, seriously think about taking a gap year. You'll work hard, you might have an adventure, you might save some money, and you know, it is that great opportunity to get started on your studies. So you could actually start uni, have a gap year, and still be in front. Now, nearly everyone worries about how much getting some kind of qualification is going to cost them, and that's a reasonable enough worry to have. Just remember there are lots of different ways to help fund your further education, and ultimately it is a big investment in your future and is going to help you get better career opportunities if you've got some sort of qualification to back up your skills and experience. There's a number of funding options that are available. Most states offer some kind of subsidies for vocational education and training. For RuralBiz training, we currently have subsidies available for students in Queensland and New South Wales. We have had in the past funding available for students from Tasmania, and we're expecting some announcements around that in the not too distant future as well. The other option you can look at is Commonwealth assistance. So any course that is diploma or advanced diploma that has been approved should be eligible for a vet student loan. A vet student loan is a Commonwealth government loan where the Commonwealth government pays the course fees on your behalf, and you repay that amount through the tax system when your income is above a certain threshold. And currently that threshold sits at about $50,000 a year. So you don't have to start paying back your course fees until you're earning that amount of money. And that program is available for nationally recognised courses right across Australia. The only course at diploma or advanced diploma that we don't currently have vet student loan approved for is the diploma of agronomy. But you can start with the diploma of agriculture and transition across if that interests you, just like Jess did. If you do a course that's not eligible for a vet student loan or any sort of state funding subsidies, you can also look at having a customised payment plan arrangement. We certainly offer them, and I'm sure other providers do as well. Scholarships, what a great way to get some study under your belt. There are lots and lots of scholarships out there, and a lot of them are targeted especially for regional students or rural students. Here's just two for an example. The Rural and Regional Scholarship is a government funded scholarship that offers up to $18,000 for a diploma course, bachelor, up to a 4-year course, anything from a certificate 4 diploma, advanced diploma, or a degree course. You can apply to do these full or part-time, and online study is approved. The main selection criteria for that particular scholarship is financial need and your capability to be able to complete the course successfully. So if you're interested in having a look at that one, that also covers science and all STEM courses, which agriculture is now considered part of the STEM learning area. So you can go to the Queensland QTAC website for more information about that scholarship. There are lots of others out there. Royal Agricultural Society has scholarships, and RuralBiz Training last year offered 2 full diploma scholarships to students who were in rural and remote areas. And they were both taken up by students, one of whom is studying on campus now at Armidale that comes from a remote area, and another that's being undertaken by an online student in remote Victoria. So I would definitely recommend that you get out there, hunt around on the websites, look for those scholarships, make the effort to apply for them, because you just never know. Now, we've got, for the schools who have logged in, we've got quite a few posters and flyers available. If you'd like some sent out to your school, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and we'll send you out a bundle of those. And if you are interested in one of the courses we've talked about today, please you give us a call on that phone number there, or shoot us a message after the session today. You'll find our website has lots of information, and you can contact us there. Now we're starting to get some questions come in. Leon from Ag Skills Victoria, for rural and remote students undertaking, say, Cert 3 or 4 in Ag, do they have to be trainees, or can they? No need to be trainees. You can just be a student who has, you know, has a farm to work on. You don't have to do it as part of a traineeship, but there are certainly traineeship options available. Anyone else have a question? How you assess through practicals, right? So for RuralBiz training, this would vary for different organisations, but sometimes our assessment work, we ask you to base it on a property that you're working on, preferably, or that you have good level of access to. And the assignments are structured in a way that we ask you to undertake a number of practical tasks, perhaps, and interpret the results. So, for example, we might ask you to undertake some soil sample testing, and we will actually pay for those soil samples to be sent off to a lab as part of your course, and you receive the results back, and we'll ask you to interpret them in your assessment task. For other units, we might ask you to submit videos of you assessing work, undertaking practical tasks. We might ask you to submit photos of projects that you're working on. Singleton High School, does the scholarship funding cover TAFE as well? That depends on which scholarship you apply for. The rural and regional scholarships that are the government funded ones, I believe they can be undertaken at any registered training organisation or university, so I'm pretty sure that includes the TAFEs as well. Obviously the scholarship that we offer ourselves is just for study with RuralBiz training, but there are a lot of other scholarships out there as well. Does anyone have any other questions? So one of the other things, if you study with us, that's really important is we do make sure that you're well supported through your course. You'll have a number of different trainers and a guardian angel that will contact you quite regularly to check how you're progressing. Make sure that the study's fitting in with your life and what's going on the farm and in your personal life. So we've got that flexibility there. I think I might just, I think that's probably all, but if anyone has any questions, please feel free to share them with us after the event. I'm going to just hand you over to our CEO, Kathy Sims, who has been working in vocational education and training and agriculture for a long time and always has some insightful feedback or comments to make. And I'm also just going to, at the end of the session, ask you to please complete a survey and give us a bit of feedback. So I'll just put the link for that in the chat box now, and when Kathy's finished, you can click on that and go and fill that in and give us some feedback. That would be fantastic. Kathy, are you there? Oh, we've also got the lucky draw prize to draw.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Kathy Sims here, and it's just been fantastic sitting here listening to the speakers and watching the interaction going on. One of the things that's always struck me in my many years in agriculture is that it's an industry that attracts people with passion and drive. And I think today we've really heard our speakers give great examples of this, right from corporate agriculture right through to family farming. So I suppose just in summary, what I'd like to say to the students that are listening is to grab the opportunities that agriculture offers you. And once you've got your toe in the door, have a look to learn what new skills that you can get to boost your career progress. And I suppose my journey in agriculture started from growing up on a family farm and working with farmers, firstly in a training role, then in a rural financial counselling role, and then back into training where we set up RuralBiz training. And RuralBiz is based on that passion. We believe that no matter where you are in Australia, you have the right to be able to access good agricultural training, and we work very hard at making sure that we deliver that. So the teachers and advisors that are listening in, I hope that you're confident in recommending agriculture to your students. I date back a long way, and I know that there was once a belief that you wouldn't recommend agriculture as a career to anyone. It was dirty and it didn't pay well, was what most people said. I think today what we've found is that's old thinking. Agriculture many years ago has moved on from that. And what we're looking at today are people that are confident and are well paid. And I'll go right back to the first presentation from Holmes Sackett, where they really nicely presented that agriculture is not just well paid, it's right up there as up there just behind mining. So you can be confident in knowing that when you recommend agriculture as a career to your students or your own family, that you're recommending something that will be good for them in the long term. I want to thank all our speakers, and very much they've all given their time to us and their expertise, and it's really, I think, one of the great things about agriculture is it's part of a big caring community, and every one of us hope to welcome everyone that's interested in agriculture to join the industry and to just help make Australia continue on producing food and fibre for the world. There's a place in this industry for everyone, no matter what your passion is. There will be a spot somewhere in agriculture. So I invite you to put your thoughts or your thanks to the speakers in the chat box, if you could. And we've just drawn the GoPro camera, and out of the hat of all the schools that we can see on logged in, Alstonville High School is the winner. So congratulations to Alstonville. We'll be sending your GoPro out. So thank you very much, and I'll just see if there's any questions that you've got from me, or I'll hand you back to Mel just to finish up.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. We really appreciate your time to log in, and we would really appreciate it if you click on that SurveyMonkey link that I've just posted there and offer any feedback that you might have. If you do have questions or you'd like more information about any of the presentations that you've heard from today, please send them through, pop them in the chat box. We'll stick around for a little while to answer any questions you might have, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.